Welcome to the Executive Lounge with me and Shira Ado. This is the Business Thought Leadership Program that brings you nuggets of insights from the experiences of men and women who have scaled the daunting heights of starting, growing and managing businesses across different sectors right here at home and around the world. We're joined by a woman who's just been celebrated as the Marketing Woman of the Year 2016 at the recently held CIMG Awards. She is a consummate banker. She's been in the business for a long time, held senior management roles across different banks, and today she is the managing director of United Bank for Africa, UBA, Africa's global bank, they call it. And today we're going to learn from Abiola Bawuah. Thank you for joining us on the Executive
Thank
Lounge.
you very much, sir.
And congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You know, maybe you wouldn't remember, but I first met you within the first year of operations of Zenith Bank. This was
2005?
Yes, 2005. Exactly. And I must say that personally, and I'm sure anyone who's known you from that time wouldn't be surprised that you're doing as well as you are.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So let's get to know you a little bit. How does it feel, first off, to have been awarded the Marketing Woman of the Year?
It feels very great, but most importantly, I feel very humbled. The reason being that sometimes when you are doing your work, you are closely monitoring just yourself. But I didn't know, seriously, until last week, Monday, that I was going to be nominated or judged as the Marketing Woman of the Year. So once in a while I see that and I pinch myself, I'm like, is it real? You mean I've been nominated, I've been given this award? So people out there are really looking at what I'm doing. So it is very, very important. I mean, it feels very great.
Wonderful. And I heard your, your interview after the award, and you attributed it to the great team that you had around you.
Yes,
how is it important for a leader like you to have a good team around you?
Very, very important. Okay, I'm sitting here, but the bank is still running. It is being manned by certain people. And there is nothing on leadership journey that you can attribute to only you, the leader. The summation of all those people's effort is what makes Abiola Bawuah. Yes, I might have done my very best, but if you look at the results that came out, no fraud, it was manned by operation. If you look at the credit, we virtually doubled our credit. It was done by the credit people. If you look at the deposits that we had before the year end, sales team did their work. So when I look at everything, I had to come out to confess that, look, it's a strong team that I've been blessed with, and I'll do that over and over and over again.
That's good, and we'll be exploring more about the work, but let's get to know you. Who's Abiola Bawuah?
My name is Abiola Bawuah. I'm married, I have 3 kids. My educational background, I went to Datus, then to Achimota Secondary School. I read actuarial science as my first degree. But when I got back, I also went to University of Ghana to read MBA Finance. Then I had another degree in law, LLB. But outside that, I've done bits and pieces of various things, marketing from Game Pie and leadership in Harvard and Columbia. So that's briefly my background.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Did you always want to be a banker?
No. I remember when I finished actuarial science, I wanted to be in the insurance industry. Unfortunately, it was difficult getting to SNITS. It was difficult getting to insurance for one reason or the other, because actuarial science is supposed to be a statistic-based study. So it's purely a back office kind of thing. And I wasn't lucky enough to be considered. So what did I do? I asked myself, no, I can't sit at home. I wasn't sent to school to become an insurance. I was sent to school to succeed. So what did I do? Somebody told me about NADMO, recruiting. So I went to NADMO. And then whilst I was in NADMO, somebody also told me that, look, in addition to the NADMO work, there is this survey being going around. Then they were doing a survey on Dunlop. Okay. So we're supposed to go out and carry it out. So I did it perfectly. I didn't know I could sit at home and spend the money. So I did it. So when I finished, the consulting company called me and said, look, who are you? What's your background? You did this work so well. There's a friend of ours looking for a mathematician and also do his accounting for him, a law firm. I said, well, I read in my degree, I remember doing accounting for 1 year. I will try it. So I went and read accounting book and became an accountant overnight and also an investment officer. So that's how I started. And then I went to the stock exchange, did the course, and then I started trading on the stock exchange with SAS. Okay. So it was in the course of that, a year or two later, I was blessed by Mr. Frankedu, who gave me the opportunity. Then there were not too many banks, so getting into banking was really, really tough. So I just walked in one day and I told them, I read actuarial science, I think I have what it takes. So they scheduled me for interview and I was taken as the relationship manager. So that's how the banking history came into it.
But if you would look back at your start in the banking industry, you started off as a relationship officer, but in no time, I think you were managing the consumer banking unit.
Yes.
How did that rise happen?
Oh, I don't know. I always hate to concentrate on myself, but one thing I did very well when I joined Cal Bank was to put in my very best. How did I do that? I made sure after every 5 o'clock, I read all credit files. So I remember on one occasion, my colleagues on my level were so sure that Mr. Edu was paying me twice the salary they were paying. So they said, oh, Abiola, you have to print out your pay slip. Then we could print out our pay slips. So we printed it and mine was the lowest because I joined them. And what I'm trying to say is that the effort I put into my work in Cal Bank, for the 4 years I stayed in Cal Bank, really, really took me to places. Because I never applied to Standard Chartered. Somebody told the MD then, Ebenezer Isoka, to come for me. So I was there when a colleague called me. I said, okay, let me give myself this gift. So I went for the interview and they gave me a manager, head of sales. So I was there 1 year. Zenith Bank came and I think they were looking for staff. They went to Stanbic Bank and a friend there told them, oh, you are looking for a marketer. There's a lady in Standard Chartered. Her name is Abiola, go to her. So they came. So when they came, I said, hey, please, I can't leave Standard Chartered. I've just been here for a year. But the offer they gave me, I couldn't sleep. So as a young officer turning into a manager, I'd just done 1 year. And they were giving me senior manager with a brand new Honda Accord. Oh my God. That was it. So I took it and I think I was number 5 then. Then, fortunately for me, there was a little problem with 1 or 2 of my bosses. And the then managing director called Mr. Andy OJ has so much belief in me and decided that, look, instead of bringing in a new person, he was going to give me a chance. And that's how I became head of retail. And since then,
you've never looked back.
The way is my forward way.
Yes. But and I think it was around that time that paths crossed.
Yes,
and from a distance, I watched how you work with your team. As in my little corner, observing how you work with them, what I took away was it was a community of friends.
Yes.
But there was also this very clear drive that you had.
Yes, please.
I may come and have a meeting with Henry or Alex, and I would remember, you know, pop your head through the doorway and say, look, we need this new product. How far are you with it? How are you able to transfer the passion with which you work so it affects the people who work with you?
It's both ways. I think as a leader, one thing that we must get very clear is where we are going. So you must always communicate where we are going. So right from beginning, everybody working with me knows that, look, our destination is Kumasi. So if you are on board, and I think that you are driving the car towards Cape Coast, for example, then we might have to alight somewhere in Achimota. So it's clear. I communicate where I think I want to get to. And I tell you, this is how we are going to get into it. Of course, you get people who easily buy into it. And so there was a time my boss told me, look, Abby, how come we always give you good people? And I said, no, it's not you who give me good people. They buy into the vision. So you get people emulating what you are doing. And for you to do that as a leader, you must be in front. You must be in front. You cannot tell the people, this is how you do it, and you sit back in the office. You must be the one leading and showing, leadership by example. So when you do that, and people, they begin to believe in you. So the summary of my leadership is, you must lead by example. Having said that, you also get others who are like, is the bank for you? Why don't we take it easy? After all, every other bank is like that. So over time, the good news about such people is that they find their way. It means that maybe they will do better in another bank, but here they may not be comfortable. But I've been celebrated, in fact, highly celebrated, both now and in the past by my staff. When the results start coming, sometimes people don't believe it, that, we can achieve it. I remember when I took over this, the mantle of UBA, there were staff who were brave enough to tell me, don't worry, we are never going to get there. You know, we've been here for 9 years, 10 years. This is how it's always been. It's never been good, even when this person was there. And I told them, no, mine is different. And they stood aside and they were looking at me. Okay, we'll see. But when the results started coming in, when they started seeing the way I was doing it, and they tried it, and results started coming in, today, a lot of them will write you a lot of secret mails, you could see when we took the award, how they all rushed to the podium. The stage, yeah. Yes. So I've been celebrated by most, but I've also been highly criticized by some.
How have you dealt with criticism, especially when maybe you've set audacious targets and people are thinking, oh, seriously, based on the trend, we can't do this, and they think that you're just being hard on them. How do you manage that?
That was in my first year as a leader, because we surpassed where we wanted to go in the first year. Now when I say it, they believe it. And like I said, I make sure I take the chunk myself. I don't just set a target and sit back and watch them. You are not supposed to set target for people to fail. And when people are not meeting their target, you want to have a chat with them. You want to find out whether there's something you can do to help. You want to find out whether there's a problem in the team. You want to find out whether if you spend every day with them, things might change. And that's what we do. Today I have branch managers who were in 3 million when we started. Today they are in 70 million. You get it? So it works for you to associate with the team. Put your feet into their shoes just to see where it is. It is when the person is not reporting for work, when the person is not responding to customers. Those fundamental issues, those are the things that I will react to, and I'll react to it very, very harshly. So for the criticism, when it comes, you don't get angry. It's either that person is not seeing too clear, so you need to help the person, or you see that, no, this person is not going to be, it's not going where you are going. We are at cross purpose. So in that case, unfortunately, you have to onboard. It's simple.
You talked about having, clearly there's drive, lots of it. You rehashed your knowledge on accounting so you could take a job You spend time after work investing yourself into making sure that you're on top of your customers' credit files. You've studied a bit of law, you've done leadership. I mean, how important is it for you as a person to keep adding value in terms of the knowledge that you've acquired and stretching that to life? Why should I even consider doing something like that?
Seriously, it's the first thing I teach anybody I meet, including my kids. It is the most important thing you can do for yourself. And no knowledge is wasted. No knowledge. I always tell staff that, look, yesterday's knowledge is gone. If there's anything in management today and I know, I'll go and improve myself. Why am I saying that? If you agree with me, you'll see that years ago, about 10, 15 years ago, tellers were O-level students. When you finish O-level or you don't feel like continuing, you go and do banking and you become a teller. Or maybe what we call sixth form then. Today, our tellers are graduates. Our tellers are graduates. Today, you see people holding masters and they start, it doesn't in any way lower the tailoring point. All I'm trying to say is that today, when you hold a degree, nobody's going to make you immediate manager, unlike 20, 30 years ago.
That's right.
So the world is changing and you need to be on top of your game. So I would advise that, as far as I'm concerned, education or adding knowledge to yourself is very, very critical.
Very, very instructive. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll learn more from my guest, Abiola Bawuah, CEO and Managing Director of UBA and the Marketing Woman of the Year 2016. This is the Executive Lounge with me in Shirado. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Executive Lounge with me in Shirado and my guest, Abiola Bawuah, CEO of UBA Limited. Now, we learned a number of things in the first part of the conversation, and key to Abiola's success is dedication and determination and working really hard. And more importantly, that you should always keep adding knowledge, because as she says, no knowledge ever goes wasted. Now, you mentioned team, keep talking about team, importance of working with team, leading from the front and things like that. When you look around you today, outside of the banking world, of course you meet different people from different sectors. Is this nation poised for the greatness that we desire, if you would place emphasis on leadership? Have we got what it takes as far as the understanding and appreciation of leadership is concerned?
Yes, yes. I think we're on course. I think we may not be as good as the advanced country, but I think that we don't have too many companies failing overnight. For me, that shows that we are doing something well.
Okay.
And I think in the last few years, there's been so many talks on leadership. So I'm aware most of my colleagues out there who are also MDs, there's a lot of awareness about leadership. So even if we were not that good before, everybody seems to be trying to toe that line. So I believe we're on course. And if you look at how well companies are also doing, you will see that there's something we are doing well that is moving us in the right direction.
Okay. You lead from the front. But what else comes together to create the Abiola Bawuah leadership style?
What else comes together apart from the teamwork?
Yeah. What are the values?
Results oriented. I love to see the end from the beginning. And when I set myself on a course, we must achieve it. And then we can celebrate. And so I think it's His grace, by His grace, of course. So far, so very good.
Okay.
So far, so very good. When we tell ourselves we want to do 100 million, or want to do 30 million, one way or the other. Because we are prepared, because we are working as a team, I think divinity also come in to make sure we get there.
You know, there's also this talk that people who are quite driven and always set goals and are result-oriented tend to be transactional. So it's all about, let's just get the job done. It's not about how, but you keep talking about team. How are you able to balance, you know, the human relationships that must make the result you seek achievable?
Yeah, you've said it all. The results will come by the people. So I learned, maybe in my earlier stages in life, I was very transactional. But now, no. I've attended quite a number of leadership courses. Thank God for the executive and board of UBA. I've done quite a number. And I realized that when I focus on the people, when I focus on the people, and I show interest in the people, and they connect to my vision, whilst I'm sleeping, they are working. But when I focus on the numbers alone and leave the people, do you understand? It gets to a point, you can't fire everybody. So they're okay, go ahead. And the job is not done. So it's good for me to connect with the people. So I do everything you can think of. There is no birthday that comes to my notice that I won't at least give you something small, send you a very nice message. When anything that affects their home affects me, because they need to be happy. And most of the time, I take the bullet for them. So they've come to see that the MD is there for us. Oh, as for MD, you can always run to. And when I believe in something, whatever you want to push, if I'm not backing you, it means I don't understand. So teach me and let me understand. Once I understand, I'll throw my weight behind you and we go pushing. So that, I think, has worked. The people first before the figures. It has really worked for me.
When people are the center of your operations,
yes,
and you put them first,
yes,
it means you want to be, like you say, you don't miss a birthday,
yes,
when it comes to your notice.
Yes.
It means you have a certain personal relationship with
I have
people.
a lot of personal relationship.
I've always wanted to learn how great leaders are able to ensure that organizational culture is not diluted, where you have the hierarchies in place, but you also operate a fairly flat environment, so people can freely express themselves. In banking, it's quite structured. How do you blend the two?
No, it's structured, but it's also clear. So no matter how much I want to connect to you, if you go taking customer funds, no matter how much of a friend you are to me, so my friends in the bank knows that this is where the line is drawn. My friends in the bank knows that anything customer is not something MD will bend on. You can never be close. I don't know how close you can get to me, that you will get rude to a customer and you expect me to leave you. Because the customer, as far as I'm concerned, is the reason why we are here. So therefore, the communication is clear. So I think as a leader, the first thing we must do is to set out the parameters, set out the goals, and let them know that, look, I'm here for you. And the I'm here for you means that it's not a personal thing. It's communal. And anything that concerns that name UBA, for which that brought all of us together, is of utmost importance. So any other things after work. But in the course of doing this, some people shouldn't be sick. Some people have family issues. Some people have material issues. Some people have emotional issues. So in those instances, then as a leader, you have to remove the cap of figures and put the mother figure on. So the mother hat on. So that's what I do. So once people get to know that it's not just about figures, and it's very critical. I have seen instances where for one reason or the other I'm in pain, because maybe things are not falling as I want it. And I see that pain immediately transforming into my staff. They are so sad because I'm sad. They are happy because I'm happy. So on the job, I've got to realize that no. This is not just about me, but it's about us. So the word us has been very more or less printed out there, and it has helped. And they get to know that, oh, when we do it, and MD will give it to us. So it's there. So the award that I got, they know that it's for everybody in UBA. It's not for them, it's not for Abiola alone, it's for everybody. And so that's how it comes. When the bonus also comes, we share it equitably. Yes. So it has worked for me.
Okay. Now, you believe that, everything that happens to prepare you for, how much of your experiences through CalBank, through even working at NADMO and StanChart, how much of all of that do you think has made it possible for you to excel as a managing director of a bank?
My experiences from NADMO through and through, I've worked with quite a number of people, leaders, and there have been some that has been very, very positive. I believe I wouldn't be sitting where I'm sitting today, but for great leaders like Mr. Frank Edu.
Very, very instructive. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll learn more from my guest, Abiola Bawuah, CEO and Managing Director of UBA and the Marketing Woman of the Year 2016. This is the Executive Lounge with me in Shirado. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Executive Lounge with me in Shirado and my guest, Abiola Bawuah, MD of UBA Ghana Limited. She's just been adjudged the Marketing Woman of the Year 2016. But guess what? She's not just a marketing woman. She is a very driven individual, and we've learned quite a lot from her. I urge you to stay tuned for the summary at the end of this particular segment. And when we're done, make sure you catch the repeat. Also go to the YouTube channel and watch this over and over. There's lots of wisdom for you to take away from this. Just before we went, technology has taken center stage in a lot of things. Now, banks have apps and all kinds of things. Where do you see banking as we've come to know it some 15 years from now?
15 years from now, there may not be any banking. 15 years from now, in fact 10 years from now, we may not have banking halls. We may have a lot of profit, more profit for people to criticize out. Why did I say that? Today, you can complete your banking from beginning to end. I don't remember the last time I went to banking hall. I don't remember the last time I'm looking for a bank to sell dollars for me to travel. I can move money from my account onto my card, and over I go. So banking has evolved, or is still evolving. But in the next 5 years, I seriously believe that there will be nobody entering a banking hall. Today, go to most banks. Gone are those days when we were using tokens. You remember? If you remember,
yeah,
you see that we give you a token. Yes. They'll say, token number 5, please.
That's right.
Who? Then it got to filling of paying slips and things. Today, nothing like that. Not just in Africa, even abroad. Yeah. So technology has come to play. It's not taking away banking. I won't see it as a challenge to banking. I've always said that we are partners, and the earlier we accept the fintech companies, the better. We should work together. It should be possible today. If you do SWIFT in UBA, you will receive your SWIFT message immediately.
Wow.
It's sent to you directly.
So we've gone from the days of waiting 3 to 5 days.
Or walking to the bank to
That's
say,
right.
you did an LC, you did SWIFT for me, I'm coming for... No. Immediately it's emailed to you. So technology has come to help banking. It's not going to take away banking. It's going to support banking. Today, 1,001 people using ATMs are paying me.
Yeah.
Today, I don't have to have 20 tellering points. So my cost of operation is reducing.
Whilst that cost is reducing, it also kind of feels like you're having to utilize fewer people. Will that mean that we're suddenly, because of technology, have a lot more people now free of the jobs that they do and having to look for other jobs to do?
That is just one side. The other side is that now I'm taking more people in IT.
Right.
Because the back office that is required to manage the apps that you're talking about is huge. Today, you can call into the bank 24 hours. If you are in America or London and your ATM, your card, for one reason or the other, you want us to increase the limit, or you want us to, you want to put more money, or for any reason you have any challenge, you call straight into the bank and somebody must pick. So the back office is also heavier. So it's just a matter of,
moving people around.
Moving the numbers around. Yeah. So we've already spoken earlier about improving yourself.
That's right.
So if you have one field now and you know very well that banking is going in technology way, improve yourself. It's as simple as that. So you can't continue to say that, okay, I'm a teller, or I did this, and so I don't like technology. No, even as an MD, you've got to embrace technology. Otherwise, I won't be able to talk to you about this product.
That's right.
Exactly. So, banking the next 4 or 5 years, 15 years you gave, I think is too much. And it's going to be good for you. Yeah. Can you imagine sitting down today? You want to talk to UBA, you want to cash money in UBA, you don't have to walk to UBA. All you need to do is to just go into your app and just transfer money to him. That's how banking has evolved, and I think that it's going to be better and better and better.
Fantastic. Let's talk a little bit about, I'm personally of the opinion that women can rise to the top in any field, albeit that we don't have the numbers. There's a lot of talk about equality, equity, and all of that. And I know you're passionate about women developing themselves and standing and being counted. How do you feel sitting in the boardroom as the managing director, as a female? Is it true, as people say, that you have to work twice as hard?
It's not true. It's not true. It's not true. If I look at the bosses who gave me the opportunity, they are all males. I think we women need to get it right. What our bosses are looking for is result. Our bosses are not going to treat, they are not our husbands. They are bosses looking for results. And I did mention at the awards night that women we need to stop playing that women card of pity, where we think we need to do something extra. No. However, we need to understand that for us to receive the recognition that we want, we need to be on equal path with our male counterparts. We cannot continue to demand for equity. Oh, you should understand, it's 4 o'clock, I need to close early and go to home because I'm a woman. At the same time, you want the reward of the male colleague who stayed up to 6 p.m. That is equity. That is not fair on the job. The job doesn't need to know I have 3 kids. I need to figure out how to solve that. It cannot be a permanent excuse. And then tomorrow, when they are rewarding my male colleagues, I start calling names. It's not fair. You get it? So I'm always saying that, yes, I listen to women very well, but I also ask myself, is it fair? Is it fair? Who cares if you have 3 kids? Who cares if you can't take care of your home? Figure that out and give your best. So if a male colleague, for example, on a Mother's Day, 2 of my female colleagues sent me a text. Dear Madam, today is the female day, Mother's Day. We want to go to our daughter's school, individually, not together. I want to go to the children's school. I said, okay, no problem. They arrive at 12. But I also know there's something called Father's Day. None of the male colleagues sent me that text. I don't know if you get it. Yeah. So do you say it's fair? So I think that if we really must make an impact, women should just tell themselves, I am equal to this male. There's nothing wrong with me. I don't have leprosy. And therefore, they shouldn't be using our role the other role we play as a trump card to cheat their male colleagues. They should be able to play together. It's all bucket of life. You must make sure that your home front is done. You may need help. You may need your sister-in-law. You may need your... I don't have any problem with that. But don't let always flaunt it as the reason why we can't put our very best. And so therefore, our male bosses should understand. When you do that, you are not asking for equality. I remember working for a gentleman who never knew I had a 1-year-old boy baby. The day he got to know, he gave me all sorts of names. I said, but why do you have to know? Because I was closing so late. I was closing very, very, very late. So when he got to know, the day he got to know, he couldn't believe it. So he went and shopped heavily for my son. What I'm trying to say is that women should just brace themselves for the job and always tell themselves that, look, if a male can do it, I can equally do that.
So in your, let's learn something from your own experience. You just talked about how, you know, you were working long hours even though you had a 1-year-old child. At the time, how were you able to balance the arrangement? Because, I mean, it is equally important to raise your son and be there for your son at that very tender age as it was to hold down a job and excel at it. So how were you able to do the balance?
I needed to figure that out. So I had a younger brother who was staying with me. I had a little girl who was helping me. So weekends, I made sure that I cover what will happen over the week as far as food is concerned. There were even no mobile phones like it was here today. But if there was any way, instead of cheating my employer, I would rather have resigned and make sure the boy is okay. But if I have other helps that could help me, and my Saturday and Sunday, I figured out that I need to make sure that the food is at home, everything is done, and that's what I do. Today, I can tell you everything in my house. I can tell you what to prepare today. I still haven't neglected home. Everything that is in my freezer, I know. I know when this will finish, I know that will finish. So the little space I get over the weekend, you've got to make sure that you also put things in order. But it's not for Monday morning for me to tell my boss, sorry, I have to do this because I'm cooking, I couldn't come. That is abuse. That is equity. And so you don't expect him to do that 3 times in a week. And tomorrow he needs somebody to take over as the senior MD and he calls me. That won't be fair, is it? So that's what I'm saying, that you can still balance your home. I'm married. I have 3 kids. My home is well structured. My job is well taken care of. And I think that if we think of how to figure it out, we'll do well.
Why do you think sometimes people feel or are intimidated by success of women?
I think we women are a bit emotional. I know that certain reaction I will give today, maybe Andy won't give it. Andy may be able to just hold back and just walk away. I can be very reactive. So women, we are told that we can balance head and heart. It's true. However, we are very reactive. And unfortunately, there's been few instances where maybe we've gone overboard. And when we are going overboard, we really do go overboard. So, and also, I think that our society, we are still in the process of accepting women as leaders. I remember when I took over as a MD, 1 or 2 males found it a bit tough. It was strange. But trust me, they are my disciples now. Because I needed to work around them. I needed to let them know. I needed to also let them know that this is where I'm going, and so you are going there. So over time, they've bought into it, and we are the best of friends.
What must society do differently to, first of all, conscientize everyone to understand that women are just as good as men are, and they should be able to rise to any position?
Yeah, I think we can start from the government. They should give women opportunity. They should give women opportunity. I think that, yes, They've done well. We are seeing quite a few, but I think there's a lot more, because that is where we can start giving people the opportunity to see that the girl child is also should be equally educated. Mm-hmm. I think that the more women out there in leadership, the more it sinks into the system, the more there's the realization that, look, a girl child is also human. Mm-hmm. And the more the girl child will get the role models. I think that there are still too few people in leadership. Once government, I think few countries are doing that, they are pushing women out there. The ones that will not do well, you take them out. But at least give us the opportunity. Once we get the opportunity, we'll become role models to the few people who are there. And you see that more women automatically enroll into schools. And the more, and you remember Dr. Agri.
That's right.
Once you educate a woman, you educate a nation. And I believe that if you see the role educated women, professional women are playing in the life of our family, that is not something we want to discount. So I want to see more of such things in the system. I
know you do stuff on your own. Share with us some of the things that you personally do to empower the young women around you.
I've been on quite a number of, I'm on a number of female platforms. I've also done quite a number of seminars and held meetings with women groups and things. And I've never changed my message. And I've always told them, I don't believe in too much in feminism. I don't think we should go out and say, hey, give it to us even though we don't qualify. I'm not sure that's what.
So for you, it's about let's develop ourselves.
Let's develop ourselves. Let's put ourselves in the right position, the position where we can be called for leadership. And when we are called for leadership, let's make sure we exert ourselves. It shouldn't be that, oh, the male is doing 70, once I do 50, try and understand. No, that is not what I will call for. I'm saying that we have what it takes. Let's go all out.
You talk fondly about your family. Very busy as you are, how do you balance spending time with family?
First of all, I hardly get home before 7:38, hardly. But when I get home, I make sure that if it's 3 hours, I'm going to be home. We need to make sure homework is done. I need to make sure how the day is. If they are not asleep, I want to know what happened in your day. I do that. I want to know what food you ate. I want to see what is in the home. I want to speak to the various people who are supporting me. I do that very well on a daily basis. I even speak to the teachers. Okay. I have time for that. I also make sure that the weekends, we use it judiciously. I make sure that holidays we just came back, we went to have a very nice time. You interact with them. And I always want to test whether before I entered the studio, I've chatted with all of them. We make sure we are, if one is sick, they'll tell me. So once the communication and everything is flowing, and I'm on top of issues, and they know that mommy will remember and come back. So consciously, I make sure I tell myself that side is not lacking as far as my attention is concerned. Of course, my husband also covers up. He covers up for me. He does very well. Where I'm not able to go, he does more for me. I also have very good attendants in the house, and they know that I will always check and cross-check. So that's how I've always... so they don't complain too much, no, not that I know of.
That's good.
Yeah.
So when you're not playing mom and managing and running a bank, what do you indulge in?
I do quite a number of things. I love watching TV. So every evening, you can be sure I watch my ID. And I also I'm on a number of women platforms.
Okay.
So once in a while, we get together. This weekend, there's one.
Okay.
So we go dancing small and coming back. But I do a lot of church activities also. So Saturday morning, sometimes I go to church for prayer. And just make sure that you socialize with the right people.
Fantastic. Well, it's been fun talking to you, Abiola. It's,
Thank you.
and again, I'd like to say a big congratulations
Thank you, sir.
for winning the CIMG Marketing Woman of the Year. It's no mean achievement.
Thank you,
and,
sir.
Personally, I'm proud of you, and I'm sure your
grateful.
family and your colleagues at work and compatriot managing directors are also proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm sure this is just the beginning.
Amen.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have a tradition on this show. We sum up the conversation with 5 lessons that I've learned from our chat. And the first thing that I picked up on today is the importance of adding layers of knowledge. No knowledge goes to waste. And as you rightly heard, 5 years from now, the banking industry might be very different, and so would the things that you do today be different. Imagine that soon machines will be making the shirts that we wear without any human intervention. In fact, a few days ago, a robot conducted a tooth implant without the intervention of a human being. It doesn't mean there won't be jobs for human beings. It just means that we have to add layers of knowledge so we have relevance in other areas. So, number 1, make sure that you accumulate as much knowledge as possible. Number 2, drive. Decide what you want and be result-oriented. Go after it. See the end from the beginning and don't let anything stop you. Especially those who will say, this can't be done, this won't be achieved. Well, the more they say it can't be done, that should give you more reason to even do it. And number 3 is remember you cannot do it all by yourself. Abiola kept telling us about the team. It's about us. Align yourself with the right people and go after your dreams, and that achievement will not be just for you, but it will be for the people around you, even if it's your name that's on the plaque. And number 4, equality. Whether you're a man or a woman, go after your dreams because you have prepared yourself for it. Where you're coming from, who you are, should not be the trump card you use to negotiate. It should be purely about your ability to excel. It should be about being able to stand and be counted, because that's what it's going to take to be successful. And number 5, I think it's important that you get out there and have fun sometimes. It has to be balanced. Balance the home, balance work, balance your social life, because they all play a role in ensuring that you're successful. This has been a very, very interesting edition of the Executive Lounge, and I'd like to say a big thank you to the crew and the production team, as well as our friends here at Villa Monticello and our people over at X-Men for the grooming, and to you for watching. Catch the show on the repeat as well as on the YouTube channel. My name is Inshira Ado, and as always I say, go forward, make rain, shalom.